Hey guys, we are going to get started. We have a special guest speaker tonight, Gillian Norman, who is a Ruby ambassador. And I think my first um, non-official, but like Facebook introduction to Gillian was a video that you posted on what's now the Rising Emerald page. And you were like, I'm a totally new ambassador. I've only been, I think you were like 2 weeks in or something. And you'd posted a video about how you'd gotten to 500 PV right away and your upline wanted to share, right? Was that?
It was about samples. Yeah, managing samples and follow-up. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, look at her go. And then it was like, it seemed like I turned around and you were just skyrocketing. So I'm super excited to hear what you have to say and share. So I'm going to hand it over to you and feel free to share any part of your testimony that you want, product or business, whatever you want to share, and grace us with your wisdom.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Well, I'm very happy to be here. Like you said, my name is Gillian. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I'm married. I have 5 children from ages 2 to 14. So they're a major blessing in my life. I've been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, and I wasn't looking for work when Plexus found us, but I'm very glad that I started working the business. So the reason why we were looking at Plexus was my husband had a bad physical in January of 2015. And I knew that he could diet and get, some of his weight down, but I was concerned that he wouldn't be able to stick with it long term. Dieting is temporary, right? And he'd been trying to diet for a few years to work on his blood pressure and things like that. But suddenly his A1C was too high, his cholesterol was too high, and his blood pressure medicine wasn't working anymore. So his doctor gave him 6 months to figure it out or start new medications. So he immediately started dieting and looking for guidance, and we were like looking at new cookbooks and recipes and looking at a naturopath and just trying to get some support. And we found Plexus totally by accident, just on Facebook, like most of us found Plexus. And Joanna Chabot is my sponsor. She is who was posting one day about blood sugar. And I called her because I was like, I don't know if I thought Plexus was a diet thing. And if you're talking about blood sugar, I need to know more. And within 2 weeks, John got everything approved and got started. His second week, his blood pressure went down. By month 5, his labs were clean. And at his 1-year physical, he was able to get off his blood pressure medication. So that was, so there was lots of good things happening along the way that affirmed us and showed us that we were doing good. It hasn't been like all fast and easy for John. His case was definitely, I think, one of the more challenging of all my customers. And he often said, if I wasn't your husband, I probably would have quit. So it's good to know that, people do have hard journeys sometimes, and you just got to love them through it. It was easy because it was my husband. I was like, you don't have a choice. You can't quit. But I do use that mentality with my customers as well, as far as I can. I do tell them, this isn't about weight loss. You're fighting for your health. Long term, because your weight right now might be your problem, but in 15 years, it's your weight's no longer the number one problem. It's your diabetes, it's your blood pressure, it's your cholesterol, it's all those cluster diseases that come along with weight gain and what Dr. Mark Hyman calls diabesity. He says, most of America is overweight and pre-diabetic and just not diagnosed. So that's become a big part of our passion. Along the way, I lost 25 pounds. I no longer have any of the GI trouble that I've had my whole life. I was looking for Plexus to just help me lose some weight. I had no idea that I was going to sleep like I'd never slept in my life, that I would no longer be chronically constipated, that I would get rid of sugar cravings. I was eating candy every day. I was hiding candy and chocolate. I was drinking coffee all day. I was exhausted and anxious and, all the typical mom stuff that we've all heard. And now I am not. So I think that is a huge testimony to the power of our products. And I think it's important that you tell your story often and in various ways so that people never get tired of hearing what it's done for you. And I tell my team, you tell your story every week. Every single week, you need to tell your story. I'm a year in. on the 20th, and I still tell my story every week. I might not tell the whole story, but I'm going to share part of it. Maybe I'm focusing on my sleep, but I always, if I'm sharing an article about magnesium or if I'm sharing BioCleanse, I always insert my magnesium story into that post. Okay, so that's kind of how we got started. We did start sharing plexus day one. I hadn't even used the products when I made my first post. I just think that it's very important to start from day one. And the biggest concern I hear from people is, well, I don't have my story yet. I need my story. No, you don't. You just have to be honest and humble. You just share what the products are. I knew what they were. I did my research. I knew what it was. I read the clinical trial, the graphics showing what happened with everybody. So I knew what it was. I knew what it could do. Now it was just a matter of cooperating with the products and getting out of the way. Okay. So we'll talk about how to get out of the way in a few minutes, but getting out of the way was an important step for John. So, okay. So day one, I posted a picture of John, reading the instructions. I was like, okay, you're a brand new customer. What would you be doing on day one? You'd be reading my email that I sent you, right? So he had printed out the why does plexus work, the plexus power tools document. He had his pink drink on the table. It was literally like 5:45 in the morning, bedhead. And I took his picture and I was like, this is plexus for us, day one. And this is why we're doing it. We had no story. We had nothing to share personally, except that we chose plexus and this was why. And I think that is very intriguing to your Facebook audience. And I encourage all brand new ambassadors to put your pride aside, put your fear of what people think of you aside, because this is an honest endeavor and you're being open and humble and treating your Facebook kind of like a blog of this is what happened to us this week with plexus. Here's our plexus update for week 3. That's what we did. For our first 8 weeks, we had a weekly update. And I was also emailing that out to my prospects every week. Week 4, here's our update. And I made sure to put weight loss at the bottom of the list, because, if you focus on the weight loss, that's what people think plexus is. So we focused on all the other stuff because John's weight loss was not fast. So he didn't have like these big numbers to report, but the way he was feeling was changing really quickly. Okay, so that's kind of our story. Now, I had to write notes because I'm a rambler and I'm a storyteller, and I'm like, I'll be telling fables and you'll be like, what happened to the call? It's an hour and a half later. So, okay, so let me talk about helping you get your new ambassadors started successfully. Or, if you don't have anyone new right now, I want you to look at your team that you have right now and think about, how can I help you restart? How can I help you relaunch if they're in a place where maybe they're stuck, or maybe they're like, nothing's happening, or maybe they're doing great, but these are skills we need to learn, and I'm doing them myself. Okay, so first of all, a welcome call. You have to do a welcome call with every single person, no matter what their interest in plexus is. I don't care if they're a business builder or not business builder. I don't even use those terms anymore. You're an ambassador. And wherever your primary interest lies in plexus, it doesn't matter. Everyone needs a welcome call as soon as possible. If you can get that welcome call done in the first 24 hours, you're going to capture that person's excitement. You know that feeling when you first click join? You're excited, you're exhilarated, you're like, oh my goodness, what have I done? I'm nervous, I'm excited, I don't know what's going to happen. And you want to capture that and you want to channel it. Because what happens when you make a big purchase? Like you buy a new car, or maybe you buy new bedding, or you make a big purchase. When you don't have it in your hands right away, sometimes you can have a little bit of concern, right? Buyer's remorse is too strong of a word, but people get nervous. They get the jitters. They're like, okay, now what? Okay, what do I do? Now I'm embarrassed. I don't want to tell anybody. And they start second guessing themselves. So you want to harness that excitement that they had when they clicked join with a welcome call. Your upline needs to do that welcome call. If your upline's not available, go to his or her upline. And I try and get mine done within the first 24 to 48 hours. So you want to harness that excitement and channel it productively. And plus you want your upline to be able to say the things that maybe you can't say to your new person, which is start now, don't wait. Your upline has a degree or two of separation. She doesn't have the baggage with your friend that you might have. She doesn't know the big long story about why I can't share yet and this, that, and the other. They just say it. So the welcome call, mine has really morphed right now. My welcome call is really about delivering the vision of what plexus is and what it can do. I tell my story real briefly. I talk about the income potential. I really do. And I talk about how easy it is to get your products paid for. So I don't ask anybody what's your interest in working a business. Are you a business builder or are you a wholesaler? Are you here for the discount? I don't do any of that anymore. Okay, I used to. Now I just go into that welcome call and I assume that every single person on that call wants to share plexus, because the truth is they do. They want it to work. They want to share it. Now, what that means to them might be different. It could just mean sharing it with their neighbor and their best friend, or it could mean posting on Facebook, but it's too soon right then for them to make that decision if they're kind of unsure. So I don't want them to go, oh, I'm not a business builder. No, I don't want to do that. That can be a little bit intimidating. And my husband likes to remind me that if someone was posting about plexus and saying, you can make this much money, or you could do this in your spare time, you could work a business, I'd have been like, I'm not doing that, because I wasn't looking for work. I didn't think I needed the extra paycheck. I was just kind of a happy stay-at-home mom, quote unquote. So I've just removed all those kind of labels and boxes, and I no longer put people in them anymore. I'm just assuming that you're gonna work the business, but I just don't say it. So I just do it. So for example, we now do a lot of our welcome calls on Zoom. And sometimes we'll have like 10 people on the call. Sometimes it's existing ambassadors who just want to refresh their course on Zoom calls. They want to hear how someone is doing a Zoom call. But it's a big mixed group, usually. So we just speak to, we just assume they're all going to work the business, and we tell them what to do. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make a list of 200 people you want to share plexus with. And I ignore the facial expressions. Anyone who's like, I'm just like, yeah, it's going to be great. So you're going to write down a list of 200, and I just go for it. I just assume this is what they're going to do. Because at the beginning, I can tell that some of the people, I see all the faces are kind of going, they're kind of like, what's happening? And then we talk about how to get their products paid for. And then more people are like, okay, what'd she say? They kind of come in a little closer. So don't prejudge anyone, just like we say when you're recruiting for plexus, don't prejudge your ambassadors once they're there and what their level of commitment will be. Just assume they're going all in. Okay, so what I tell my new people to do is to make that 200 list. They need to make that in their first, couple of days. It's really easy, just start writing names down. They can use the Frank's method, they can use the success plan and follow that, or they can just brainstorm a list of 200. They want to email. The other thing I tell everyone to do is you need to send out an email. And this is not a email that says, hey, can I tell you about plexus? This is your email before you even start posting on Facebook, or whether or not they're posting, it doesn't matter. But everyone needs to send out an email to all their family and friends and just say, this is what I'm doing. I'm so excited. This is why, and you just want to kind of launch your business on at least to your closest family and friends. So I did like several arcs. I started with my close family and friends, and then I reached out further. Okay, my extended family and friends. And then third, these are people I don't see that often, but we might be Facebook friends or people that we used to be in sports together with our kids. And I kind of did it in waves. That way I could kind of tailor my message. So to my closest family and friends, I said it. You're my closest family and friends. And I care about you. And I'm so excited about this. And I want you to know what I'm doing. And so it was kind of like just a little icebreaker with them, so that later I can come back to them and go, that plexus thing, I love it, and I think you should try it. So I did this before I even started, okay? Like it was before my first Facebook post. I sent these emails out. Okay, so if you haven't read the Rock Your Network Marketing Business book, you need to. And one of the things I've read Sarah Robbins recommend is the first 2 weeks of an ambassador's life in your business is very, very important. They need training from you. They need their welcome call. They need multiple follow-ups. They need just venting time to share their concerns and their worries. And someone told me it's full of caffeine. I don't know what to say. They just need that time with you. So you need to babysit that new ambassador for that first 2 weeks and make sure they have lots of one-on-one time with you. And then you need to be encouraging them to take these steps that we've talked about. If they haven't made their Frank's list yet, to go ahead and do it. If they haven't sent their email out, they need to go ahead and do it. Not all of my people get this done in their first week, okay, but it's what I ask them to do. And so we aim high, And it's okay if you land a little bit under that, right? Because we're trying to get it done in the first 2 weeks. And then within your first 30 days, I say plan your first online party, plan your first live event, whether that's a Google Hangout, a YouTube live party, or a party in your home, okay? Try and do one of everything, because you really want to impress upon the people in your life that you're serious and you're excited and you want them to participate. Okay, and I know this sounds like a lot. My people look at me and they're like, this is a lot, but this is the ideal. We're aiming for the ideal, okay? And then how that gets translated, depending on how life happens, that's okay. Okay, so let's see. So John and I, we treated Facebook like a diary, basically, with our plexus journey. We shared our posts very personally. I didn't do like a lot of sale graphics. I didn't do a lot of like graphics that said plexus. Okay, we did a lot of posts about diabetes and cardiovascular health and the risks of being overweight, and then we wove it into our story. Okay, now one of my favorite social media training videos is by Rachel Rogers. Have any of you seen that? Okay, that is one of my favorites. All of your people need to watch that, and they probably need to watch it more than once. Once I saw that video, it helped me further define keeping my posts personal and less salesy. And it also helped me remember the Victor Antonio videos from Super Saturday. If you were at Super Saturday, those reminded me to never forget where you came from as far as how you felt before plexus. Remember how he said that, empathy versus sympathy, and he was talking about you have to throw up with your customers. So that was very appealing as gross as that was very appealing to me, because I think sometimes as a plexus people, we forget that our potential customers are out there reading these things on Facebook and they're in pain. They're scared. They've tried everything and they failed. They can't stop eating. Their joints hurt. It's like they're suffering. They're praying at night for help to a solution. They don't even know. They don't know what the answer is, but they're praying at night for a solution. I was praying for. I was literally asking the Holy Spirit to shine a light on a helper for us. I didn't know what that was yet, but that was my prayer. And I saw the plexus, but I was kind of ignoring it because I kept praying. And then one day she said blood sugar, and that was the history. So remember that everyone reading your posts, if they're your future customer, and if you believe they truly need plexus, then they're suffering. So always speak to that person. So when I'm posting, I pick a person out there in Facebook land. I imagine one of my friends who I know suffers from blood sugar crashes. She literally self-admits that she is mean to her husband and children when she's hungry. She has a little weight problem too, and has trouble eating well. This is a person who's very close to me in my life. She is not using plexus. But I always think of her when I post. And when you do that, you reach a level of empathy with your viewers that you cannot achieve by saying, I'm just going to throw a few things out there, and if you've used any of these phrases, don't be offended, because I have too. Watch me or join me. You'll spend money on manicures, but not on supplements. You think plexus is expensive, wait till you get your prescription bill. Do you know what I mean? They're kind of taunting. And I've done some of that, I'm going to be honest, but I've stopped cold turkey. And the way I judge my posts is if I wouldn't say that with my lips to my best friend who doesn't use plexus. Okay, you guys, my best friend does not use plexus, and I've been doing this a year. If I couldn't say these words with my lips and my voice, I do not post it on Facebook. So I think it's real easy to sit on the side of our computer and make a joke and be funny and be kind of snarky, but you just don't know how it's hitting that person. And I didn't know until my best friend told me. And it was really hard to hear, but it was important. And so now I've trained my team. You talk to the person in your life that you think is hurting the most. on your Facebook posts. And when you do that, you'll always have amazing posts that are full of love, mercy, empathy, and that's what makes people come to you. Okay? I get new customers every month. I go silver almost every month. And I really think that the reason why is because I never forget that I used to be in pain too. I was physically hurting, I was crying, I was eating out of control, I was my highest weight ever. You know, it's like we just can never forget that, because that's how people know that you really care about them. Okay, so enough about that. Okay, so let's talk about samples. That was Rachel's, she was talking about a sample video that I made when I was new, and Tiffany Gephardt made me do it. I was new, I didn't know what I was doing, I just knew I needed to get organized. So I created a spreadsheet with columns. I hadn't created a spreadsheet in like 10 years, you know, so it was my first spreadsheet in a long time. I had my columns and I had a date, you know, of initial contact. Did I send them a sample? Did I follow up? What's their concern? Are they hot, medium, or cold, you know, as far as plexus goes, and then like notes. And I printed it out and I hung it on I have a little computer armoire, hung it in my armoire, and I started sending those samples out. And I would send out as many as I can. I recommend buying an extra bag of Slim and keep giving samples out all the time. And the way to promote it is pour them all out on the table, make a cute little cluster, take a nice up close picture, make a quick graphic, free sample. And you post that on Facebook at least once a week. Always be giving out free samples, because guess what? Then you always have prospects. Always. And that's how I got my start, and I've never stopped. And that's why I always have new customers, because I'm always giving away samples. And sometimes I get a sense that someone needs more than one, and I give them 3. And the last person I did that with, she signed up as an ambassador after 3 days of Slim. And the other one, she signed up as a customer. Actually, I had 2 sign up as customers from doing that, and 1 as an ambassador. So it worked out. It worked out great. That's a risk, though, you know. So you got to be ready for that. You got to be ready for it. You got to be ready to fail. Okay. So people always ask me, well, how long does it take? What's the average time that people bought? And you know what? I have some people who bought in a week and some people who didn't buy for 6 months. There's no average time. But I can tell you that I have a greater than a 50% success rate of samples turning into customers. So it's a worthy investment. It's a tax write-off. Just do it. And then following up, you know, I am kind of relentless with the follow-up. I just don't stop. People who ask me about plexus my first week, they might still not have purchased, but they're still on my list. I printed it out to show you. It's all scribbled on right now. I'm trying to find the first page of it. Okay. So it's all faded and tattered, but this is my original list. And you can see I've got names, you know, some people ultimately very few people tell me, no, I'm not interested. But if they do, I draw a line through their name, but I don't take them off the list. Okay. Because people change their minds all the time. I had someone tell me, I'm not interested. I'm going to do Advocare. Great. 2 months later, she called me and she goes, I didn't like it. Can I do plexus? And I was like, yes. And I never take her off my list. Unless they join or become a customer, and then I move them onto another list. I have a customer follow-up spreadsheet and an ambassador spreadsheet, but I only keep that now for my level 1s, not for everyone. Okay, so yeah, so that's my prospect list. So I've got 3 sheets here. When you're sharing samples, you'll always have people to follow up with. Or when you're doing drawings or contests on Facebook, things like that. I've done that before too, just to get new people interested. And the way I did that, okay, so I know some of you will think this is crazy and you'll be like, I can't do that. But I'm just going to tell you what I did recently. I had a bunch of extra 3-day Slim trials, Slim and Block, because I'd been ordering them for online parties to have prizes, and then I forgot to take it off my backup order. So I ended up with extra for like 2 months in a row. I was like, okay. So one Friday, I put 3 of them on Facebook, and I said, I need 3 brand new people who have never used plexus before and don't have an ambassador to try plexus for free, but you have to promise to give me your honest feedback. Well, they all either bought it or joined. So it was, those are $10 each, so it's money. But In that case, it worked. Anyone I've ever given a 3-day trial to has turned into a customer or an ambassador. I don't recommend giving them away all the time. I just needed, it was like mid-December. I just was like, where is everybody? You know, I need some new customers. And so when you get to that place, you just got to do something crazy sometimes. So that's what I did. So you can interpret that in your own way. It can just be 3 loose slims. It doesn't have to be a trial pack. You know, I just happen to have those 3 loose slims. You can do it. You can do drawings. I've done that before too. Okay, so I tried once to make people comment to be entered in the drawing, and people didn't do that. You know, I was like, okay, everybody, I've got this great drawing. I'm so fabulous. You're gonna love it, and blah blah blah. Well, no one. I was like, all you have to do is comment and be entered in the drawing. No, nobody wanted to. They don't want to out themselves. They're embarrassed. So fine. So I went back to, okay, forget it. I started over the next day. Okay, message me to be entered in my drawing. And then it worked out. Okay, so samples. I think I've dug into that enough. The next thing that I kind of became known for early on was just really becoming, I'm going to say, like a product guru. That's probably too strong a word because I'm still learning about the products every day. But people ask me all the time, how did you learn about the products? How did you learn so much about the products? So I challenge all my new ambassadors, you know, their first 30 days, you're just getting your bearings, right? I don't say this the first 30 days, but after the first 30 days, I challenge everyone to become a product expert. You don't want just like 1 or 2 people on your team to be the product expert, right? I mean, that's nice. You can call them and ask them lots of questions, but ideally, each and every one of us are product experts. And the way I do that is this. Obviously, we all have a binder, right? We have a plexus binder. We've got everything printed out. So my first month, I was reading ingredient sheets every night. Not all of them. I would pick one and kind of focus on it for the week. So one week I was like, okay, BioCleanse. That stuff is doing me right, and I need to find out why. So I would read my ingredient sheet every night, just review it, kind of like I was studying for a test, but I'm not. You know, there's no test, but I would study the sheet every night. I would also go out on YouTube and search Plexus BioCleanse. And that's how I found all my favorite people that I like to follow on YouTube. And so I would look for testimonials. I'd look for those dietitians and whatnot. And then I would go on Facebook and I would type in Plexus BioCleanse, and I would start reading testimonials or people's product information posts and things like that. Obviously, I didn't do all of these things on every night. I'm just giving you my method of how I learned about each product. Ingredient sheet, YouTube search, Facebook search, and then I would go to my favorite Facebook groups and I would search BioCleanse. So I'd go to like PCOS page and I'd type in BioCleanse and search and see what was being talked about on that page. And I tell you, those group pages that I got schooled on Plexus in those group pages. I would pick one a week, and a couple times a week, I would just go to that one page and just scroll and just see what people were saying. Or, you know, if you're on one of those pages, it's like multiple issues like the Lyme's, lupus, yada, yada page. I'd go on there and just search one issue and just read. And that takes 10 minutes. You can glean a lot in 10 minutes, and you don't have to save everything and like retain it all, but at least you know where to go find it. Okay. Now let's say after a couple of months, you've gotten through all the products, and, you know, I finished with the what was then Fast Relief. I watched the Dr. Dennis Harris videos on that. I found some old convention notes on Fast Relief, like on the Darby page. I don't even know where I found this stuff, but, you know, I just dig. And I was just, I was amazed at what I learned. And at that point, I realized no one was posting about Fast Relief. No one was trying to sell Fast Relief or sharing that with people. So that was important to me because I have siblings with RA. Okay, so after you're working on becoming, you know, a product expert, the next step, and this might take a few months to get there. Maybe it's like 6 months, maybe it's more. I want you to start digging into the ingredients. Okay, because the ingredients are what make our products unique. You know, the name is one thing, we're talking about their function, but once you can talk about what the ingredients do to someone, boy, you're buying your self-validation there with that person, even if it's just knowing one ingredient of each product and what it does. And people want to know sources, so I tell them to go to PubMed. I tell them to go to WebMD. Do not Google plexus. I tell people that. Do not Google plexus unless you're ready to read craziness from, the high end of wow to the low end of it's poison and everything in between. For me, Googling plexus is like Googling the Catholic Church. You're going to find whatever it is you're looking for. So if you want to be unbiased, if you want to learn about the Catholic Church, you go to the Doctors of the Church and you read early writings. If you want to learn about plexus, then you got to Google the ingredients and you got to listen to what the scientists had to say, what the formulators had to say about plexus. And the dietitians and the nutritionists and all that good stuff. They're the ones who have the training and the skills to explain it to us. So, okay, so that's about being a product expert. And I learned in the fall, so I started last February. And by October, I realized that somehow I had become my team's product guru. And that's a problem. It's good that I know, but it wasn't good that nobody else did. Okay. So I told them, so I just started making that challenge of, I want you to go back and relearn all the products. I want you to start looking at individual ingredients and study the main 1, 2, or 3 ingredients of each product. Okay, so that was my personal challenge to my team. Okay, so my favorite people to follow on YouTube are probably some of yours too. Ame Darling for product information and training. Tara Castaneda for business information, and for encouragement and just awesome stories and sweet love, Tamara Holloway. And then I just adore Melissa Eichenhorst. I don't know if you guys have watched many of her videos, but she's really a great motivator. So the last thing I want to talk about is ranking up and promoting in plexus. I don't know about you guys, but I've watched a lot of videos on this topic. And I think it's important to always be watching videos for all the ranks as you have time. My favorite for going silver is Tara Castaneda's How to Go Silver and Why Should I Care? Okay. If you haven't watched that yet, you need to have that on your favorites list. And, I want your ambassadors to watch it too, but more importantly, I want you to have such a good grip of the information that you're able to share what she's saying, okay? Because she's explaining why you need to care, but really that information needs to be coming from you. And then when they're ready to inspire their team, that's when they need to watch Tara's video and be ready to teach and train and duplicate that down. I don't have a favorite How to Go Gold video. Maybe it hasn't been made yet, but
Tara actually just made a How to Go Gold video in the last week, and it's really good.
Well, there you go. So that'll probably be my favorite. Yeah. But what we did on our team was we had a How to Go Silver and Why Zoom call. There was 16 people there who want to go silver, and it was really good. So basically, we dissected Tara's video, and we ran through it in a 30-minute Zoom. And had some discussion, and were able to say some things that everyone on the Zoom that maybe their sponsor can't say directly to them. You know how it is, sometimes you just can't say what needs to be said, but it's, if your sponsor can say it, or someone, her sponsor could say it. So that was really the purpose of the How to Go Silver and Why Zoom. So we'll probably be doing that every couple months. I think you could record it, but then it's just another video. I think it's really good to have it as an interactive event. And we asked them questions, we challenged them, we had them we did a poll and had them raise hands, how many people make phone calls? And they were like, how many people send text messages? So we just did some interactive stuff that really showed them they're not alone. They're not the only one who's afraid. They're not the only one who's still learning. So that was really good for team building too. And then we also did a How to Go Gold Zoom call, and you had to be silver to come to this call. Or you could be a sponsor, obviously, who's trying to help their team go gold. So what we did for that was we basically went out and watched every How to Go Gold video we could find. This was before Tara's. And we took all our favorite tips. We looked at some people's team pages, of their tips too. And so we created we did a Zoom call. That was a big group too. And it was long. It was an hour. And Joanne and I did it together. We sat side by side in my dining room and did the Zoom. And you know what? it was really good because we were able to really push and say what needed to be said. And what someone does with the information, you know, that's up to them. But we were able to say what needed to be said to some people because it's a group. And so that was really great. And I recommend that. Have those types of training calls together. But it does mean work for you. You have to dig. You have to go learn everyone's different advice for how to go gold. So I kind of liked it because I was like, okay, I have a lot of girls right now that need to go gold. So I should go and learn all these methods. Okay, by the way, my favorite tip for going gold, I know this is not what this call is, but I have to share it, is to do it on your own. Go gold all by yourself. And all that means is that you personally sponsor 20 ambassadors. It's a huge sense of accomplishment. You know, maybe you have one business builder, or maybe you don't, but go gold all by yourself. And we took a poll on our team, and everyone on our team so far this year that's gone gold, no one had more than 1 or 2 silvers. Okay. I had one silver when I went gold. I think I went gold. I had 24 people, but you know, they weren't all ordering on the same month. So you're always kind of shoot, go, overshoot. Okay, so the last 3 things I'll leave you with are, you know, the things that, you know, my husband works the business alongside me. He doesn't work it the way I do, but he works it in his own way. And he helped me identify, okay, 3 secrets. What are my 3 secrets, you know, that I could share? And so this is coming from him, that he told me I should share with you from me, because it's hard to know what are my secrets, you know, or what makes me successful. But what he encouraged me to share is that to be a leader, you have to really have a handle on a strong plexus vision, okay? And not just this week and this month and yeah, I'll be gold in 2 months. No, we're talking about a year from now. You need to be able to sit and daydream with your team and say, a year from now, you're going to be a Ruby, and you're going to have this giant team page, and you're going to be working toward going to the convention gala, you know, the big black tie event. You have to really spend that time with your team painting that vision, because we know it's real. You know, I've got everybody above me is senior Ruby and up. Okay. So I know it's real. When I started, by the way, that Texas trio, you know, Tiffany, Emily, Stacy, they were senior gold when I started. And a year later, they're all emerald and now diamond. I was going to say sapphire. They're all diamond. So sharing that vision with your team is like something you need to be really good at. And you might feel awkward at first, but that's something that you want to talk about events and talk about the rewards of sharing plexus. And it's not talking about financial rewards. I'm talking about personal fulfillment, because that's what comes first. The personal fulfillment comes first, and that's what gets us engaged. And then the financial rewards come later. Okay, my second little secret is focusing on your downline, not your upline. Okay, your upline cannot do a thing for you. Yeah, we want to help him or her promote and rank up and be a good team member for him or her, but my job is my downline. So that's what I train my team to stop looking up to your upline and turn around and look at your downline. They need you. They need you to be a leader. And if for any reason, you know, I don't know who everyone's sponsor is, but let's just say if you ever are in a situation or someone in your team, maybe they don't have a strong sponsor or they don't have a strong upline, that's okay. You be the strong sponsor. You be the strong upline. You be the leader that you need. And then remember that when you're leading your team. Okay, and the last one was empathy. Okay, we already talked about that a lot, but I really feel that showing your own personal vulnerability in your Facebook posts and sharing your love for others in lots of ways. We're not just talking about plexus, right? We're just talking about your persona on Facebook. You need to be exuding the love and care that would want someone to reach out to you, right? We all have people on our teams that post some stuff sometimes. You're kind of like, oh my goodness, why'd you say that? You know, and I'm not talking about plexus. We're talking about just like stuff that maybe it's negative, or maybe it's ostracizes certain people, you know, and you kind of go, you cringe a little bit because they're also the ones who's like, why won't anyone buy from me? And then they've got this meme up there that you're just like, oh, I can't look, you know, just scroll. I can't look. So I feel like in Plexus, the last thing I'll say, I've already said that, but for real, the last thing I'll say is we have the power to really change the world. And I mean that in more than just Plexus. I mean with our positivity. I mean with our prayer. I mean with our love and our support and the mercy we show to others. We really have the power to change the world. And so I see my Plexus opportunity as much more than Plexus. I see it as a way to show care and love toward others who maybe aren't getting that much support in their life, whether it's a team member of mine or a customer. So that empathy and you remembering how you started and how you felt before you started Plexus is the way to always stay in touch with that. And make sure you're speaking in your Facebook post, every post, speak to the person in your life that's hurting the most. And you'll never make a inappropriate post or a, you know, less than stellar post. So anyway. Well, that's my outline. How'd I do? And did I do 30 minutes? I'm not sure.
You did fabulous. You did so good. Thank you so, so much. There were so many good takeaways. I really super appreciate it. I am going to stop the recording, and then if you have a second, we could do a couple questions.
Sure, absolutely. I got time.
Thank you. Thank you.